Cool. So this is like um this is like what you have to do, right? And there's like how do you store files? How do you store files? There's like how do you store there's a lot that is going to be involved here. There's how do you ensure so a lot of these are like questions you have to ask yourself before building a product, right? And you can think of like yeah, so there's like all of these things that are involved. And just on top of my head, I already know I'm going to use or need a lot of these, right? So there's hosting, there's third parties, there's API logic, there's database, there's files. So and then in terms of interface, there's UI UX design, there's layout, assets, logo, typography. So all of these are needed if you're to solve a tech problem, right? And then in our case, we wanted to solve this, and let's see, so this is what you want to do, right? And if you were to do this, you need to think, well, what do I start with, right? It starts by, so if you think about it in terms of like, what is this going to look like if it's like an app? So it's going to be like, hey, um, it's going to be like, so it's going to be like you have a user, let's see, cancer. So you have is like a way to add icons. Here it is, right? How do you do it? Okay, here. This is slow. So I mean, so you have user, and then user is going to come. He's going to access your client, and then the client is going to go to the server, and then the server is going to go to give a response back to the client, and then the client is going to. So we have some sort of flow that looks like this, right? So user, client, server, client, user, right? So this is the sort of flow we have. And then here, here we're going to have, we're going to have, we're going to have in And yeah, in client we're going to have what is it that you're going to have? So you're going to have a way of uploading this video. But here's the thing, right? I would rather we do not upload the videos, right? I would rather we don't upload the videos. I would rather we fetch them from Twitch if that's possible, and then can clip from there. So we're going to sort of clip videos right from Twitch, right? So this way we don't have to store them. So if we can like call Twitch, get a video, and then sort of act on it and then upload it to YouTube without storing anything, that would be like magic, right? That'd be like super cool. But our client is going to have a viewer. So these are like features. mm, Video preview. So this is going to have like a video preview, right? And then it's going to have what else? It's going to have an edit, and it's going to have, and here we can do like edit. So this is like cut, trim, or cut or whatever, and then etc. So these can be many features and functionalities or whatever. And he's going to have upload. It's going to have user management. He's going to have, so you need to people authentication, because we need to connect this to Twitch, so we need to sort of authenticate now, right? So authentication, yep. So client is going to have all of these. So let me move this here, right? And right, so let's see. So user client server, and no, this needs to go here. So our server now needs to have, our server is going to have, what does it need? So now our server needs so server first, it's going to need video edit slash processing. It's going to need um, download, upload, or download or export. So this is like when you start breaking down your idea into features or what you label as a big task. So this is a big task or module or service or milestone, whatever you want to call it. So once you start breaking it down into these features, that's when you actually can tell, okay, this is a project that is going to take a bit of time to build, or it's not going to take that much time to build. So that's when you actually start knowing. So like if you start looking at like processing, you start thinking, well, how am I actually going to process a video if it's like, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, and then if I edit, what kind of bandwidth or resources do I need? So you start asking yourself those questions, and then uh, you can then realize maybe I'm not going to be able to achieve this task, or I'm going to be able to try and fail. So already from this, I can tell I'm going to face trouble processing these videos. Like even if I build this locally, I do not have the processing power to render a video locally and try to modify it and try to act on it. So that is going to be resource intensive, but it doesn't hurt to try. So you might ask, what if we do it in the browser? Well, you can do it in the browser, of course, but the browser is also going to be, I think it's going to be heavy in the browser as well, but you can try. So this remains user management and authentication is going to be applicable both on client and server. And here we need to put something. What else is going to be there? Download, upload, and video edit. I'm going to just put this separately because I know video edit is going to be a major task on its own. Like, how do you edit a video? And so this is like trim, trim, crop, voiceover, etc. And then how do you ensure these are handled in terms of backend, right? So this is like the hard, this is like the very hard part, at least like from what I'm thinking. I do not think this would be easy to do, right? I do not think this would be easy to do. So like video editing and trimming and cropping and voiceover, so this wouldn't be easy to do, right? So let's see. Let me just label this here, put this here. So there's like these are like different stages. So I would call this like feature breakdown or module breakdown. And let's make this block, and let's make it extra large. Okay. Okay, I think this is what I was looking for earlier. So this is, we can call this module breakdown. and then we'll call this some like um, we'll call this this how to solve like problems. Yeah. So there's like module breakdown. Yep. So there's this, and then you can call this idea. So every tech problem, like whether it's Netflix, whether it's like whatever you wanted to do in time, like you went through these stages, right? You went through these three stages. Like, so you have like an idea, and the idea is very basic, right? It starts with I want to upload voice to YouTube videos, right? So if this is your idea and you're trying to work on it, it comes to you and you're like, oh, okay, I have this problem, I want to solve. It's an idea. Okay, if I'm going to turn it into a solution, and it's usually not one idea when it comes to you, right? So it's going to be different ideas that you have to work on and improve and iterate and so on, right? So what starts as a sketchy or weird idea, when you look at it, it's usually a big task that you have to sort of break down. And a lot of the time, you're not going to have the right knowledge to understand, like, how do I break this down? But this is basically what you sort of need if you're thinking in terms of how is it going to look, how, you know, does it look, right? So it's like UI UX design, there's layout, there's assets, there's logo, there's typography, and each of these is something that needs to be tackled on its own, right? And then there's a lot of like, if you go to what you don't see, there's like hosting, third parties, API logic, database, and files. And then if you come here, this is going to sort of be the journey where you're going to have a user is going to come and visit your website or your app, and then your app is going to call your server, and then your server is going to return data to the client, and then the client is going to present that data to the user. And then this is like the bare minimum of like every journey, whether it's when you visit youtube.com or twitter.com, like a lot of it, or whether you install the app and try to do the basics, like this is what you go through. It's you are a user, you have downloaded the app, and then once You open the app, you are interacting with the client, right? And then that client, once let's say you put your login information, you have just made a request to a server. And then when that server responds with either you put the wrong password or you put the wrong username, that server is returning data to you, and then that data is going to be presented to you in some type of form. It can be like a notification, it can be just a message, or it can be an action, right? And then if you are building and not a user of the app, this is what happens. So you're going to break down your client into like the main features. So there's like, if you're building like, if our idea is upload videos to YouTube from VODs, and we want to build this, we need to understand, well, there's like video preview, there's edit, there's upload, there's user management, there's authentication, and all of this needs to happen for the for that, for us to have like a good client interface. And then this needs to happen on the server side, like video edit, what are we going to do, download, processing, user management, authentication. So once you break down your module, you now have at least a task you can work on, right? So I can decide, okay, I'm going to start with working on authentication first. So now that is easier to do compared to if I was to come here and work on one idea, like this whole idea. So you need to have like something tangible, something small that you can start working on, right? So, but then, yeah, you need to start with the smallest action. Even this is still a big action. You need to be like, what is the smallest action I can tackle at the moment to move this forward, right? So let's come up with now what we're going to call node module breakdown. So this is idea, and then this is solution, this is module breakdown, but there's another layer where now that is still at the top, so we need to go further, right? So we're going to call this task 1, and here in task 1 what you're going to do is just going to take this, cut this, put it up here, and divide my tasks into client and server. To have two types of tasks, and that's clients and server. And so these are like the tasks that I have at the moment, right? So now, uh-oh, I don't know how I'm going to paste this there. I have an idea. Okay, that works, that works, that works. Uh-oh. Let's move this here and see if it works. Okay, that works. and then nice. That's good enough. Yep, these are like our sort of tasks from when we took the module and try to break it down, right? And ideally, this is not going to be task one. These or none of this is going to be task one, because task one is going to be setting up the project, right? Okay. Task one is going to be setting up the project. So what we're going to do is, let's put a line here, and we're going to create other types of tasks, right? These tasks are called chores, right? We're just going to the test. I'm going to play these chores. And what I mean by chores is I'm trying to get ready for development, right? And by chores, what I mean is, before I build this, what do I need? Do I need to get like APIs? Do I need to, you know? And then if I remember any task and I don't see them here, I can just add them. Third party APIs. So that's like third party APIs, right? So our first choice is going to be our first choice is going to be, what is it? Choice like dev setup. So developer environment setup. So that can be one. There's we can gather missing data, so that is like if vault, it can be missing data, developer setup environment, pods, whatever. So this needs to be there, and then you can. What else do you need here? You need. Um, what do you need here? What else do you need? You need design and design assets. You need design. That is, if you have any. See, you need to get to these chores as soon as possible, right? And so you need to get to these chores if you want to get started. So develop environment setup, missing data, design, da 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 da. And that's how you figure out task one. So task one is usually these chores, because once these chores should ideally be part of like your plan, right? Like, how do you want your project to come out? And this is now your plan, your foundation, right? And once you have a stellar foundation, it's a bit easier to do the remaining work. So you can think of API keys. So these ensuring that you have all the necessary API keys and yeah. So this is like an example of how you find your task one. So I already have like an environment set up. I have like a void. I don't have a design. I don't have API keys. So I already know these two are missing. So I need to look for them, design and API keys. And that can be my task one. And once I have this, another key chore is, oh, I've written it down. So by developer environment setup, what I mean is not just VS Code or whatever coding tool you're using. What I mean is you need libraries, you need cloud, you need like a lot of these things. Um you need cloud, like what are you going to deploy, right? And you need file storage. So you can file storage, you need cloud server, you need, so if you think like anything that is going to make an environment seamless, so it's going to be involved here, right? So this is it. Yeah. Ideally, you need to start with these chores, and then once you have them sorted, you can now move to these APIs and try to work them. Um, and you might ask yourself, why do we have authentication here and here? That's because authentication applies both on client and server, and that's not only authentication, user management as well. So a lot of the logic that you have on the client, if it's dynamic, it's going to need the server as well. Yep. So that's how you find your task one once you have broken these down into chores. And then it is time to get to work. So find your task one. Yep. So I would say if you are a solo developer, this is what you're going to go through as you are building something from an idea to a product, a production ready application. So this is the journey you go through. So it starts as an idea, and then you see different ideas you're considering, and you have to break them down. So what do I need? So there's design, there's layout, there's assets, there's logo, typography, hosting, da, 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 and API logic, database files, all of these. And then if you break this down, it's going to give you different features that you need to work on to build it out. So there's like processing, user management, authentication, yeah. And then you need to break it down into like what does your client need, what does your server need. So my client is going to need video preview, edit, upload, user management, authentication, da, da, and then this. So video editing, video preview, edit, upload, user management. So you can break these down. And then you need chores, because for you to get to building these, you need to first have an environment. And I can show this in like the code that we did. So when we started working on this, so let me give you an actual example, a live example. So this is like an idea that I grabbed from this code base. But if I run this, you're going to see a very basic layout. But it didn't start as a basic layout, right? It started as it started as it's 5,000. So it didn't started as start as this level. So I had an idea. Well, I want to be able to upload files and then process them and sort of extract text from those files, right? So that's the idea I had. And then I tried to work on this. I built the client. I initially started with HTML, CSS, and then changed to now integrating React and other frameworks to make development faster. And I don't think it's working right now, but we can try it and see. Let's see, image, open. Okay, let's upload. File uploaded successfully. And say, oh, that's cool. I don't even know when I worked on that, to be honest. File uploaded successfully. I think this is just a warning. I don't know if it's calling the backend. You can check. Network upload. It is calling a backend, and I don't really know if it's calling a backend, but I think it is. If it's calling a backend, I would like to know where these files are going. But I don't think we worked on this. But yeah, um, so this is something we're working on, and also it has like a login page that we had started working on. But this started as an idea, right? It started as like an idea. So I have like this thing in my head that I'm thinking of, and I'm trying to bring it to life. And so now I'm evolving it to having now signing in with like an actual authentication mechanism. So you can see here it has sign up, then it has sign in, and then if I go back, so I'm now going to start connecting these points. But when it started here, right? It started like here. So I have like an idea. I have like how do I convert these into like a solution, and then I have like now a scenario where I'm breaking them down like into like proper features, and then getting to my task one, which was setting up a developer environment, checking missing data. Remember looking for a Gemini API key, and then I didn't have design, so this was skipped for now, and then API keys, whatever, and then so now I'm like looking at authentication and user management and building out the rest of the features. But again, it starts with chores. Like this is why you usually have to start like chores, right? So you start with chores and then you evolve from chores to like other features. Yeah, but you have to start from chores, right? Okay. Yep. So that is how you go from idea to the first task. If there's one thing you have to understand from all of this is that an idea is usually complex, like it's usually very complex, and you don't see the complexity until you break it down, and you don't find your first task until you have broken it down even further. So that is like the key to going from an idea to what I would say is like your first rough draft, going from idea to something tangible, right? Yep. So, yeah. So let's see how what we can do next on this. So I've just seen this works. I'm going to close the chat for now. Whatever. To see what we can do with this, or even if I want to do this. But ideally, I want to look at these tasks and I'm thinking, well, do I actually include some of these features into whatever I'm building into this? Do I include these features into this? And am I going to be able to build these with the current processing power I have, right? So that's basically what I'm thinking right now. But again, as I said, I like experimenting and seeing what comes out of it, right? So we can start maybe by looking at like each API. Mm, I'm more interested in something like this. Clips, let's switch viewers share. To create a key broadcast news, they can easy to use. Yep. Interested in this API. I'm interested in this. You can get videos, you can fetch videos from YouTube, you can schedule broadcasts, you can create stream markers. So you can do a lot of things with this API. Wonder what stream markers are. Yeah, so the stream markers, I like this. Yep. Schedule broadcast. You can get videos. I wonder if you get videos. Select a video from the list to watch. So we can start small. We can start with this specific API, right? So this is what I want to do. But do it here. So that's like the API you want to test and see if it works. This is meant to allow us to fetch Twitch videos. 1 second. Show click. Righty. So we can use this to fetch the video. I'm just going to come here, check my API. API generated Prisma. Yeah, I want to come here, see my router, API spec, API slash me, API user profile, user webhook, clock, upload. Documents, document ID. I think we're just going to build the whole thing here. API chat. Oof, all the endpoints are already here. That is so impressive that you did all of this. But these are what you would call like dummy endpoints, if I might say. Right, this is like dummy endpoints because they don't work. Okay, but I'm going to be mixing logic. Let's see. I'm just going to put a comment. Just checking if the live is not messed up. If we do video stuff, it will be done here. Okay, 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 okay. So you're saying cannot find module Prisma client default. What's causing this? It's crazy that all of these APIs are here and ready to work, and you haven't built them. So this is basically why you need like a way to track what you're working on. Is because especially if you're doing it as one person, you are going to find yourself switching from idea to idea before completing what you were working on. So you don't want to be jumping from idea to idea before completing what you're working on. So see, and I'm gonna go here. loading indefinitely. Let's try this and see. API slash docs. Is this loading? No. This is not loading. Loading. The way this is unloading. So I'm trying to list the port number and then I can see why we have two instances. Port. Just looking for all as 5,000. Okay, so there's no port running, which means if I do this, it should run on 5,000, right? Okay, it is running on 5,000. Let's see. Okay, now it's loading. Open a new tab. see if I can access the docs. No, docs. And this request is happening. If it was happening, we'd see logs here. And if it's not happening, we need to check this specific path. There's surely no way we are using this, right? Yep, we are not. Just to confirm, he was removed here as well. You know what? I'm just going to delete this file just for it to stop confusing us. I know I might have deleted some logic from there, but we can rewrite that we haven't. So you're not getting any of these logs, right? One second. Okay. I wonder if this is why. And if that's why, what causes it? Let's see. Yeah, Prisma client. reason for this is database. So we need a DB. We need a DB and need a DB. For DB to work, we're going to need Docker, and I don't think I want to run Docker on this thing, on this laptop. It would. So we need a local remote Postgres instance. So let's use a remote Postgres instance. We can use, what's the name? Remote Postgres instance. For any of these, there's, I think Superbase has one. I think I wonder, like, can you run Mongo Campus with Postgres? That's a Mongo Campus Postgres. Yep, you can run MongoDB Campus with a Postgres instance, but Postgres testing instance remote. So we need a Postgres testing that we can use remotely, and then PD ready. I'm thinking Superbase. Yep, Superbase is the way to go. Okay, so we're going to use Superbase for this. I really do not think you need a super best life for this. So, but let's come here. Like I'd already used this before. Let's see. Let's create this. Let's generate password. Copy this. Your project. And then come here, come here, come here. This. I want to see, let's see, how do I connect this? I want to see if I can use this string directly without, again, I'm aware of the threat that this poses, exposing my DB keys like this. Let's see. Let me do this. I'm gonna run this again. I'm gonna come here. But first I want to check if all this here right occurred again. What causes this? Just a quick check. You running cloud for this. It's causing this error. So there's like Prisma generate. So that's because we don't have Prisma running, and let me come here. You know, we don't have migrations. So if you come here and look here, this doesn't have a migrations directory. And let's change this by running. First, let's check what we have in our package, the JSON. Let's see. We need to run some like this. Run db migrate. Okay. Run db migrate. Is there? We need to add a name. Migrate init. Okay, that didn't work. I was trying to see if I can connect to this database here. Rhymes, Prisma. The difference between connection pooling and I think this is what we have to use. Let me just copy this. Let's check here. Copy this. This password. Paste it here. And then copy this one. Paste it here. Sleeve. Commenting this for now. Go back to the browser and let's just copy this as well. Come here. We need to check what this looks like before updating it. Just paste this here. save, run this one more time. Ouch. Okay, they're warning us about this. This is no longer supported. So we might have to remove this, come to Prisma and pass it via here. Direct. See, expecting some kind of, oh, not here. Maybe it needs to go here. Direct URL. I think it's supposed to go here. Distracted. And like, I don't think we need this, do we? Just thinking like, how crucial is it that this should be here? Maybe one thing I do not do is check the chat. Wave. This guy. Run this again. This error still occurs. This is a database URL. So I want to run this again. This is a good sign. Let's see. So it might take a bit long, and the reason for that is because this is running remotely, which means it's like in Europe, right? So you're trying to create tables in Europe. How do I know? You see this EU? This EU right here means Europe. And also if you come here and close, you can see here our server is in Ireland. And you might ask yourself, well, why are you using a remote server instead of using like a local one? Well, our laptop is kind of slow, and if we use a remote server, we don't have to deal with Docker, we don't have to even start Docker. So you can just do development, and then once everything is good and ready, we can be able to do this. And there is like, if you're doing any kind of development and you are on a device that can't allow you to run Docker, what you do is you basically sort of um, figure out a way to build your app, run it locally, have it built built completely, and then once it's ready and you feel like all the features should be working as expected, you just run Docker now. You run your application inside Docker. And the reason why Docker is resource intensive, I touched on this last time, it's because Docker is literally a virtual machine that you're running on another machine. So the easiest explanation I can give for this is, think of it as you have Linux and you have a Windows machine, and your Windows machine is running Linux, right? So in your Docker file, you usually specify like what OS you're going to be running, right? This version that you've specified here is usually more than a version. I think that's where it's literally going to tell you like, let me confirm and confirm. Even here, like you can see why you're specifying this. think this is like going to tell Docker what sort of version it's going to use. Yeah. Okay, this took longer than I was expecting. It's like the streaming is actually good right now. It's it's nice. Let me try something. So I'm going to try and change the title here, create a dashboard, add a stream info. Let's change. We're going to take a break from coding. Hopefully by the time I return, this is going to be working, right? Let's do some reactions. What do we watch? Reaction. This kid. This new skit that he has. I'm going to watch that.
Get on your feet, boy!
War is raging.
Get on your feet, boy!
War is raging in Iran.
We're praying for all the soldiers and troops.
That's great that you're praying, but
How about all the kids that died when the USA hit the towers?
It broke my heart. That is the
In what ways have you grown closer to Jesus?
I serve a righteous God. And that is why we say our prayers. And we are all his children. But when I say children, I mean like the holy, blessed Trinity, which is why I hold the Bible. Sweet cream foam chai ice matcha. And Bella will have all organic pot cup.
organic.
Yes, everything organic.
Four, three, seven. Oh, Hannah, you good? 4, 3, 2. Hold your chest lifted. We're gonna lift.
We have to protect all men in America, especially all white men in America. Those are the boys that we care about in this country. America is built on their backs. Yes, because they are the ones who matter most.
Get on your feet, boy!
That's crazy. Let's see. Really have anything interesting? to watch. Let's see. Where's that? How do you find trending? I don't know. I'm at the point where like watching a lot of creators doesn't excite me. I don't know if that makes sense. I could watch it, but it's just not my thing anymore. Maybe let's try like news or something. So my YouTube is so westernized, it's like maybe games to left these. This is interesting.
Now to what's trending, let's find out what people are wanting to know right now. Epic Games, the publisher of popular battle royale shooter game Fortnite, announced it's laying off 1,000 employees today. The company announced the move in a memo to employees saying industry-wide challenges are causing a financial strain on the company, including a decline in interest in games like Fortnite. The company's CEO clarified the move was not related to artificial intelligence. This is the second round of mass layoffs for the company in the past 3 years. More than 800 employees were let go in 2023.
Well, um, that's interesting. I would have guessed it was AI, but it's not AI. That's like the biggest thing happening today. So yep. So like I'm like a creator at heart, right? So like this doesn't excite me. Like this, like the news. Nope. With this, like I don't care about. Sorry to say, but US and Iran and whatever. Like I don't care about any of these. I don't care about Epstein. I don't care about like because like all of this is just created to take your attention away, and you'd rather use YouTube for like educational stuff. And that's one thing that people do not know is like rabbit holes and the role of rabbit holes. And how you can dive in rabbit holes to sort of learn pretty much anything. I can give you an example. Let's try Band 2026, right? You can see Fireship 2 months ago.
Bun.js, a mega-fast JavaScript runtime and toolchain that was built by someone who woke up one day, looked at their node modules folder, and chose violence. The JavaScript Bun.js, a mega-fast JavaScript runtime and toolchain that was built by someone who woke up one day, looked at their node modules folder, and chose violence. The JavaScript programming language was originally designed in 1995 for front-end scripting in web browsers, mostly to annoy people with pop-up windows and targeted ads. But one fateful day in 2009, it escaped the browser, got a back-end job, and evolved into the most cursed toolchain in software history, with a basic stack including Node.js as a runtime, NPM as a package manager, Webpack for a bundler, Jest for testing, Babel for transpiling, and a graveyard of config files nobody understands. Then, in 2021, Bun came along and said, what if the runtime could do everything and do everything faster? The JavaScript world agreed, and now Bun powers tools like Claude Code, serverless functions on cloud platforms, and the local dev environments for millions of soy devs. At its core, Bun is a JavaScript runtime like Node.js, but with an extreme focus on performance, which they achieved by swapping out C++ for Zig and Chrome's V8 engine for JavaScript Core, the same engine used by Safari. Starting from scratch has allowed it to throw up some impressive trust me bro benchmarks, but it's more than just a runtime. It replaces your bundler so you can write TypeScript and JavaScript without any config nightmares. It replaces your testing frameworks and package managers, and it even has built-in database drivers to work with SQL, Redis, and S3 buckets in the cloud. And it even has built-in database drivers to work with SQL.
Look at this. But this is expected from Ban, right? Like you can do SQL and then put this and then write vanilla SQL here, and then you can use, oh, this is so cool. Like you can actually do this, and here's how you can connect it. Okay, Ban is actually
Redis, and S3 buckets in the cloud, and it does all of this from a single binary, while maintaining compatibility with the Node.js ecosystem. So instead of assembling a toolchain, you just run Bun and move on with your life. JS ecosystem. So instead of assembling a tool.
So before, like 3-4 years ago, this, like setting up this workflow, was the most hectic thing you can do. Like Node.js and PM, Babel, and then Jest and Webpack, especially Webpack. Especially Webpack. Webpack was hard to set up. It was very hard to set up. Even Jest wasn't it. Even Babel, like before, it used to be very hard. And I think this
chain, you just run bun and move on with your life. To get started, we can install it using a single command, then open up the terminal and run bun init to start a new project. And that gives us a TypeScript file where we can start writing some code. Then to run it, we can run bun run, and we can auto restart on changes with the watch flag. No need to mess with a transpiler or extra dependencies. But now we want to build a web app, and instead of installing Express.js, we just use the built-in bun HTTP module to create a basic web server. That was easy, but now we want to store some data in SQLite. Simply import the database module and start writing queries. Over the next few days, our app goes viral with millions of users. The database gets bogged down, so let's implement an in-memory cache with Redis. Like before, just import the start writing queries. Over the next few days, our app goes light. Simply import the database module and start writing queries. Over the next few days, our app goes viral with millions of users. The database gets bogged down, so let's implement an in-memory cache with
you don't have to install Redis IO.
Redis. Like before, just import the Redis module, and we're up and running without any third-party dependencies. But wait a minute, I still love all these packages I have in this package.json file. Well, instead of running npm install, I can run bun install to install them 25 times faster. And we can even run executables on npm with the bunks command. And finally, we might as well test our code, which we can do with the built-in test runner, which, like everything else in bun, is extremely fast. This has been bun in 100 seconds. If you want to see more videos like this, let me know what you want to learn about next in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
That's cool. Chat, clip this. Yep. Okay, that was the video I wanted to watch. See this?
What is Bun, and is it really 3 times faster at running JavaScript than Node.js or Dino? It's a new JavaScript runtime, and interestingly, using JavaScript Core, the engine inside of Safari, instead of V8, but I have a slight problem with the public benchmark. They say 3 times faster to server render React, yet this is the React app. To me, this is not a very real-life example of a React app. So I made a React app. It's a dashboard with components and libraries and other things. It's actually running a full application. And here's a report of my throughput benchmarks. Bun was indeed the fastest. I have to admit, I was surprised. Now note, it's not 3 times faster like in their benchmark. Here, Bun is handling about 75% more requests per second than Node.js. And interestingly, Dino is somewhere in between. I also have to say, after using Bun CLI, it is wicked fast. For instance, installing dependencies is basically instant. What is Bun, and is it really 3 times faster at running JavaScript than Node.js or Dino? It's a new JavaScript.
That's interesting. Yeah, I can believe these metrics. I surely can. This is interesting. Cloud Code Essentials. I've been thinking about
Quen just released Quen 3 TTS, and 11 Labs has something to be worried about. I already talked about last year how somebody cloned my voice and used it in tutorial video series, and it sounded pretty good. That was using 11 Labs last year, and they're a little bit better now. And it's very easy to take someone's audio, like you could just take the audio off of this video, upload it to 11 Labs, and clone my voice. A lot of these cloud services are supposed to have safeguards against cloning other people's voices, but those work better and worse. But that's besides the point now, because there is an open source Quen, which is made by Alibaba Cloud in China. They have released this TTS series of models that you can download and run on almost any kind of system. I can run it on a Raspberry Pi with an external GPU. I can run it on my Mac. I could even run it on my phone if I wanted to. And you just take a recording of someone and you put a transcript in, put those together, and a couple minutes later you can clone someone's voice and make them say too. And you just take a recording of someone and you put a transcript in, put those
So you take a recording of someone, you put it
together, and a couple minutes later you can clone someone's voice and make them say anything.
That's crazy. And the interesting thing is that this is
just using the demo that's hosted on Hugging Face. So this is running on their servers, but it's not that hard to run this on your own. And I'm sure that there's going to be software tools like a Mac OS app or a Windows app that you could just download and do this yourself. But all I did was I typed in these words here, I read them into my computer and recorded this little clip. It's a little scary how easy it is to clone anyone's voice, even my own. My voice is my passport. Verify me. And you put in something that you want it to say right here, and you can let it detect your language. And there's a couple model sizes, so you could even run this on a smaller computer than, both of these run on a lot of modern systems. And you click this button, and after a minute or so, it will spit out something like this. Cloning someone's voice used to take at least a little effort. Now it's even easier, and some people can do it free and offline at home. So obviously that's not the same intonation that I have. My vocal range is a lot different, and there's little quirks to the way that a real human being talks. And the problem is that for little short snippets, that doesn't really matter. It's good enough with this free model that anybody can run. It's good enough that it can fool you if it's a short phrase. And it's good enough that it will fool a lot of people if they're not familiar with the person. So, if you've never seen one of my videos before and this is the first video you're watching, if I just used this tool and had if I generated it different ways and I tweaked it a little bit, I could generate the audio for an entire video and you probably wouldn't notice. That doesn't make me too happy. Honestly, as somebody whose voice is part of their online presence, that is something that generates revenue for me, the ability to just clone my voice and slap it on anything doesn't get me that excited. Because so far, I have never used, except for in demonstrating this technology, I've never used a cloned voice in any footage, even for a little pickup or a little one-liner or anything like that. And I don't plan on ever doing that. But I've already seen other people use my voice, and I didn't authorize it. And I'm a little worried that it's getting easier and easier to do these things, and we're going to see more AI slop that actually looks like it's realistic, because now it's easier and quicker to generate people's voices to go behind it, and all you really need to do is rip off some of someone's video, and boom, you have their voice.
Yep. But I have to check that project out. That's funny. They give him a sub. And what's the name of this project? It's called
Hosted on
Quen 3 TTS.
and that's hosted on Hugging Face. So this is running on their servers, but it's not that hard to run this on your own. And
So our break time is going to be used. No, I want to keep this because later it's going to help me check if our Postgres is working. But let's look at QuantTTS. What is QuantTTS? So Quen3TTS Quen3TTS is a state-of-the-art open source text-to-speech family developed by the Quen team at Alibaba Cloud under the Apache 2.0 license. It supports 10 languages: Chinese, English, yep, and voice design. Creates entirely novel voices using natural languages, performs rapid cloning from just 3 seconds of audio streaming, supports real-time synthesis with instruction control for prosody and emotion. Okay, let's check out the GitHub repo. This is Hugging Face demo. This is the Discord. This is the API. So let's see. Quick start. You need the quick start. Easiest way to quickly use is to install Python package from this pool in the required library to load any QuantTTS model. We recommend using a French isolate element to avoid conflicts. You can create a clean environment like this. So I would have to do some Python dev stuff. Yep. You would have to write some Python to do this. That's we'd have to write some Python to ensure this is running. I don't want to set up new stuff. Just to give you like an idea of how you would set up Quen if you had to set it up. And I think this is like a good alternative, especially for the use case that we had of like applying voiceover to like a VOD, right? So let's say you take like a whole VOD and you don't want to apply like voiceover, you can just use this library. But then how do you, so it's using Python, let's say if you're using like if you're using like JavaScript, so that's a different setup that you need, or you would sort of have to figure out how to separate these services and build. You can build like an API entirely using Python and then call it. And when you call it, you can, depending on what Quen expects as input, let's see, what does it expect as input? Language and speaker. Language and speaker. language, speaker, text, instruct. But how do you pass the audio? Output, speaker, SF, sound file. This is very interesting. This is very interesting. That if I was not resource constrained, I would work on some sort of demo. But since we can't work on these right away, we're just going to come here and edit our idea board, explore, put it here. Yep, once we have the time, we can test it out. I think I'm getting good recommendations. Let's see. Let's look at this.
If you've ever tried motion graphics, you know the problem. Editors are expensive. Learning After Effects takes forever. And even simple animations turn into hours on a timeline. However, everything you just saw was made by me in a single afternoon using AI, and it cost less than my coffee. And here's the thing, it's way easier than you think. In this video, I'll break it down step by step, the 3 different levels of AI motion graphics, starting at beginner level with a map animation that looks professionally done, then moving to an animation style used by professional editors, the kind of motion graphics that would normally take hours to create, and finally, expert level with educational exercise animations like gym explainer videos that would take days to animate in 3D. I'll show you the best tools for each level, and exactly how I generate days to animate in 3D. I'll show you the best tools for each level.
Let's see. I think this is VO by Google. I don't know about any of these others.
And exactly how I generated all of them from scratch, so make sure to stick around. The first step in replicating this map animation is to grab a screenshot from Google Maps. You can pick any landmark you want, Big Ben in London, the Taj Mahal in India, the pyramids in Egypt, honestly, whatever you like. For this showcase, we'll be using the Statue of Liberty in New York. Just search for it on Google Maps, zoom out until you see the world map the way you want, and take a screenshot. Next, we bring it into OpenArt, which is the best all-in-one platform for both image and video AI models. I'll leave the link in the description if you want to try it yourself. Once you're on the site, click on Images, then hit Create Image to get started. For this project, I'm using Nano Banana Pro, which is currently the most reliable model for keeping your images consistent. Drag in the screenshot we just took into the Omni reference and set the output settings to 16:9 and your desired resolution. For the prompt, I've already created a universal version that works for generating a clean map image for any location. You'll find it linked in the description below. This will strip away everything that isn't part of the actual Earth, leaving just a clean, realistic satellite image ready to animate. All you need to do is paste the prompt, upload your reference image, and click Create. Now that we have our first image, let's move on to the second one. The process is similar, but this time we want a closer zoom on the location. Take another screenshot from Google Maps, just like before. Bring it back into Nano Banana Pro and use this new universal prompt. This tells the AI to do the same cleanup as before, but now it also highlights your chosen location in red and adds a single, clean label. Everything else stays realistic and untouched. And just like that, we have our second image. It's almost perfect, but it's missing a few details and that cinematic wow factor. What we can do next is to bring this image back in Nano Banana and put it into the Omni reference, then we improve it using this prompt. Apply a low-angle tilted Earth perspective to the map, creating depth and curvature while preserving geography. Place a realistic 3D Statue of Liberty model at the correct New York City location on the east coast of the Red United States region, slightly protruding above the surface. Maintain clean satellite textures, cinematic lighting, soft shadows, no extra label. And that's it for the image preparations. Now we get to the fun part, bringing it to life with animations. For this, let's head to the video section. Click on Image to Video and select Halo O2. You can experiment with other models like Kling 2.6, Google Veo 3, or Sora 2, but I'm experiment with other models like Kling 2.6, Google Veo 3, or Sora 2, but I'm video section.
Is he using OpenAD? I'm not a good editor. I'm not going to try to be. Give me 1 second.
Click on Image to Video and select Halo O2. You can experiment with other models like Kling 2.6, Google Veo 3, or Sora 2, but I'm using Halo for its first frame and last frame feature, which gives much better control over the motion. First, we add in the first frame, which is our initial generated image. For the video, a realistic. Our prompt is going to be a zoom into the United States on the map as the country becomes outlined and turns red in a stylized way, with the text United States popping up over the land. Then a realistic 3D Statue of Liberty pops up dynamically from the New York City location on the East Coast. Hit generate, and that's how you get this exact result. The best part? You can swap out the country and landmark in the prompt to make it entirely your own. Alright, now for the advanced level. This is where AI can actually save you hours if you're an editor. Editor-style motion graphics like this aren't just flashy, they're practical. Let me show you exactly how I did it. Head back into OpenArt and go to Images. Pick your model. I'm still using Nano Banana Pro since it's been the most reliable for me. Keep the same output settings as before with your preferred resolution. For the prompt, I use this dark cinematic gradient background used in video editor motion graphics. 3 soft, rounded rectangular text boxes with subtle highlights. Top left reads Nano Banana Pro. Top right reads Any AI Video Generators. Bottom center reads Custom Motion Graphics. Thin white curved connector lines extend from the top boxes and merge into the bottom box. Centered, balanced layout, clean UI design, no icons, no extra text. This gives us the base image. The best part here is how flexible this prompt is. You can change the text, adjust the gradient, or move the boxes around to get exactly the layout you want. Now we need a starting frame. Bring this image into the Omni reference. Then use this prompt, remove all foreground elements, including only the original dark here's, and the last frame as the image start. Smooth easing, professional editor style motion. Hit generate, and this is the result. Just by changing a few words, you get a completely different animation. This is exercise content. The goal is to clearly show muscle structure without distracting. Open out skin texture and open it helps everything stand out clearly. This gives us the perfect hero shot for educational animations, where the focus stays on the movement and the muscles. Next, bring this hero shot into the Omni reference and slightly refine it into a close-up exercise setup. The goal here is to frame the arm, simplify the scene, and introduce a subtle internal muscle glow so viewers immediately understand what's about to be trained. The result is a clean, focused image that's perfect for animation. Now we bring this into Kling 2.6 to bring it to life. I'm using Kling because it gives smooth, controlled motion that works really well for fitness visuals. For the animation, the idea is a slow, controlled dumbbell curl. The arm moves smoothly from rest into the lift while the internal muscle glow stays visible and gradually intensifies as the motion progresses. And just like that, you've got a professional-looking educational exercise animation fully generated with AI. Here's another example. This one was created using the exact same way. I reused the same hero character in Nano Banana Pro, but changed the angle and the exercise setup. You'll see the prompt on screen, but the key idea is simple. We're switching to a rear angle and isolating a different muscle group, focusing on the upper back. There's no lifting yet, no contraction.
That's an interesting video. And my one question is that person real? Yep. I doubt if it's real. But to check out this site he was using because I found it to be interesting. The most interesting part is, where is it? The most interesting part is how you can select different models. I don't want to sign up, so I'm just going to close this. Yep. And that was like, this is a way better stream than the ones I've been having for the last few days, because the last few days were laggy as hell. I think this is why like people who do like streams usually have like segments, because if you don't have segments, it's not easy to know what to do next. figured out is how do you go from desktop to IRL. So like if I wanted to switch from this to now using my phone, how would I do it? Because let's look this up. This would be cool. Yeah, I think it should be possible. Okay, then I can be able to do this, but it would mean that I need like some sort of backpack, because like the thing about IRL for the challenge is you need some sort of way, some sort of backpack. I mean some sort of internet, because on the road you're not going to have home internet, or if you're on the move rather. Okay, I think I want to react to one more video and then end stream. It should be like we that's what I was looking for. Search this.
What you are about to watch is not tutorial. It's a full process. 2 hours of real creative production. Building a complete brand from nothing. Packaging, product images, lifestyle shots, banners, animated ads, UGC content, and even a short brand video. All of it. One session, one platform. Nothing else. And that matters, because the number one thing that kills momentum for a new brand is not lack of ideas, it's tool chain. One app for generation, another app for editing, another app for compositing. Export here, import there, half your time spent just moving files between tabs. Weavy is node-based, everything lives in one dashboard. And once your workflow is built, it stays there. You come next week needing a new banner, it is already set up. Now, I'm not going to pretend that this is top-tier brand identity work. It's not. When a brand is ready for that, proper positioning, type systems, a 60-page guideline, go and do that. Hire for it. But most new brands don't start there. They start with the product, a belief, and nothing to show for it. No assets, no presence, no way for market to even react. And in that gap, they wait for samples, for budget, for a designer, for the right time. There's no reason to wait anymore. You can build what you need, when you need it, at the quality the stage actually requires. Something like that beats just idea every single time. So I want you to know this. It's not the platform, it's not the output, it's what happens between the prompts. Every rejection, every adjustment, every moment when I look at the result and say, not yet. All that without even being able to explain why. And that's where the actual work lives. AI generates and I direct. And that layer, the decision, the speed, the instinct, all that built over years of work, learning, experiments, failures, this is actually the thing that no tool will replace. So watch the process, watch how many times something gets rerun before it gets right. That's the real content. Let's take a look at it. So today we will create a mushroom supplement brand completely from scratch. We will take care about branding, marketing assets, social media banners, get me such brief, and maybe at least initial information about the brand name and brief story and description where it is for. I think it will serve its purpose. Now with it, I think we can move on to the actual first step, because this was step 0 and you would not be doing that if existing assignment would be sent to you. So at this stage, I would assume that the brand has a product and they are starting their business journey, maybe e-commerce, store or whatever, and they would need some packaging. So the physical product can be already marketed, even though it is maybe not yet manufactured or printed. Because if you would wait until you have full stock, it might be already too late for marketing activities or, I don't know, to create some buzz in the market around your product. You need to start way sooner. And with what we have available to basically anybody right now, it's quite easy to do that. And there's no excuse for waiting before, I don't know, we have some samples. You don't need to do that. In original stages, maybe you have not enough budget for designer to create you maybe well thought through design, but you have your basic idea and you can create something quite pretty for the first stage, first run, before the brand will grow and before the product idea itself will be somehow validated by the market that there is a demand for this product. So we will create some packaging and first visuals for the product, and then out of that we will create product images with clean backgrounds, then stylized images for, I don't know, supporting the story and visual look, then product banners, also simple brand banner animations, and we will end up with UGC generated content, which in first stages, there is no chance you have something like that. But I don't mean it that in real life you should fake it, not at all. But I'm pretty sure that you have some experiences of people that are using it as, I don't know, like a beta users or something like that, but they are not able to record it or present it in a way that is suitable for social media. Therefore, if you have such information, you can in those first stages boost that production and sharing of that experience through AI-generated UGC content, and we will be doing that. After quick research, I found this image, which I think is quite suitable for those stylized images, but for sure I don't like this poach here. And for poach, I was thinking something like this might work. As of now, I don't try to go too much into design philosophy or anything. I just need to come up with branding or for packaging that somehow follows what I intend to do with it later. So forest scenes, nature scenes, therefore it should be grounded color palette with probably brown, dark green, something like that. And I will be building everything in virtually one dashboard. It will be made in Weavy, which is node-based AI platform for creatives, and it has quite a lot of features that can help you to streamline such production. You can also do that in different tools, but this time I would like to present it in like one dashboard that you could refer to anytime you need some new marketing asset or whatever you might need. First, I will need to get in description of my brand. So I will copy this part completely here, just so I can maybe quickly reference the brand itself. And now I will bring in some visual references for packaging design. I have found those on Midjourney, but you could do that anywhere. I will copy this image and place it here. Then maybe something like this. Also this.
I think that's Midjourney.
And 3 images would be just enough, I think. Stage 1 is I need a clean shot front view of pouch filled with this product in the visual description that would probably fit my style, and I will be doing that in, let's use New Nano Banana, second version. I will plug in all those references, and I need to bring in some prompt.
So that's called Wild Mind. Okay, you guys now have to search this. Wild Mind. So there's this lake. What is this? Wild
So what I need to do here is to create a pouch front view. So design a pouch packaging or brand that sells adaptogenic mushrooms. Done. Or if you would have exact colors that you need to use because they have their branding guidelines ready, you need to use those. But as of now, I'm just exploring dark greens, dark browns, and maybe, I don't know.
So I have to pause the video. And I like how you can choose Gemini or choose whatever tool you want to use. So that is it Gemini? Is it any other model that you want to use? Nano Banana or different models, and then you can use it for whatever you want. I think these are the real winners, like the people who are building these tools that can leverage multiple AI models. Because AI models are going to keep evolving, keep coming up. But then if you can build a tool that embeds these AI models for either editing, video editing, whatever, it's like Casa doesn't have an AI model, right? Oh, let me think. Casa for editing.
Gold as accent core. I'm not sure if that would work, but we will try. Yet always just 2 mushrooms. As of now, I'm not sure if this prompt would be enough. I will hit run and we will see. And while this is being generated, it would be quite cool to maybe inspect this description so I can steal some prompts and word tokens. I'm not even sure if it was mentioned, but here you can see that it is a blend of these 3 threads. The prompt that was available was negative space, almost like
this is crazy.
Things there. Now here, compare which one would get my idea better. I expect them to give me quite similar results, but because I will be creating those assets, and once I'm happy with some and I would, let's say, verify it, I will delete unnecessary things there. Now here, I think we are quite close, but I did not prompt for a logo that calls wild, how is it called? Wild Mind. But we are close here. Now I will not even run this one in here. Now call that product line. So there's functional mushroom blend. This is fine. In the top of pouch. Then what is the product line? I think it was a recharge. Yes. Then product name recharge. Under it there will be information about it being a functional mushroom blend, and it is somewhere here, I think. Yeah, on the bottom there is contents information, let's say 250 grams. Right. Suitable for those stylized images, but for sure
I have to go back and find the name of the tool. So that is me, Johnny.
I don't like this boat here. It's probably brown, dark green. One day is no be should be grounded color palette with probably brown, dark green, something like that. And I will be building everything in virtually one dashboard. It will be made in Vivi, which is node-based AI platform for creators, and it has quite a lot of features. Brown, dark green, something like that. And I will be building everything in virtually one dashboard. It will be made in Vivi, which is node-based AI platform for creators, and it has
called Wee Wee. What is this tool? Weavy. That's wild. This is good. Oh, this is really good. But again, this is where they get you. But I'm guessing like the pricing for this shouldn't be like crazy. Unlimited workflows, top up at $10, 1,000 credits. And you can use, of course, it's now part of Figma. But that's a really good use case. So both these tools that I've just found, okay, Wavy is dope, I have to admit.
There's quite a lot of features down here just as well. So only thing I will do is so here this will be gone. First we will do some cast of person, which is UGC style portrait photo on iPhone in living room, European 35-year-old woman. Could be okay. If it should be, let's say, I don't know, Japanese, you would just like change the connection of nodes, but I will stick with European for this one. And let's hit run. And while this is being generated, I will.
It has like, look at this, and I see why Figma bought it. Do you see like the left? Is it left or right? Whatever, like this is left hand side of this interface, like how Figma has almost the same interface.
Copy my image reference. Have some logic. First we will create a person that we actually like. Since we prompted iPhone, it gave us also some UI elements. No UI elements in the shot run. And when this would be confirmed, we will create another image where we will combine photo of our character and a product. And then we will create a video with this image done. So we will have our UGC style video done. Now I will clean that workflow just as well, and there will be link. Now I think that's fine. We can hit run here, and we should probably end up with image of this woman holding this product. If that style, but and as I told you, do not rather made it out of nothing. Made up reviews would not work. So lately I've been trying this mushroom blend called copy the first. Now bump up duration, so she has enough, because scale this more time production. We get
to see the output.
Change it here. Video is still in production. Close-up shot. Basic mood videos, static banners, animated banners. Then here these were more so like PPC banners with CTA buttons, and below it we have a system to create UGC style videos. But there is one more asset I would like to create in here, all within one workflow, one big workflow, which is something like a brand video that would live on a, I don't know, landing page or something like that. It needs to be moody.
Mushroom blend called Wild Mind
Copy, and let's do character speaking, just to be sure, in Japanese. This alphabet, or how do we call it? And now after language and setup. It was generating forest way. There was off and just fine first
blend called
English.
Lately, I've been using this mushroom blend called Wild Mind Recharge. It's become a little habit in the morning when I need to stay focused.
Completely fine. And in here, this one is in Japanese, but I cannot tell if it really is. I hope it is.
最近、ワイドマインドビラージっていうマッシュムーブブレンドを試してるんだけど、集中したい朝のルーティンになってきた。
Okay, that glitch was happening only because maybe this is streamed. However, if you would download it, it would go smooth. And here it introduced nice cut. Man will be done. Ask it. And brand video for this product. It needs to be
So one thing I did not know is that so this is like my sort of like maybe like I don't know if I've hit 10 streams yet, right? So I'm wondering like do I if I react to that video and upload it, what happens, right? And am I allowed to do that? Yeah. There's only one way to find out. Anyway, so I think I'm going to end the stream here. And I think this was a good stream. We nowadays we're not bothering like plugging the stream or whatever. We just go live and see what happens. You know? And I'm not that discouraged by the viewership because I know how long it takes to build an audience, and I just want to get on stream, not worry about anything, and just do like normally what I would be doing. And my goal is to get to a point where I can just do like IRL streams, because I like IRL streams, and then I can do cooler stuff IRL than on desktop, because on desktop I'm not a very good desktop streamer, I think. Did this work? Did this work? It just like hung. Let's close this and let's run it again. Or if this worked, we would continue and do some development. It's not even giving you an error. But every time you get on the internet, if you focused on the right thing, you get the right thing. If you focused on the wrong thing, you also get the wrong thing. Like every time. That's why I even avoid consuming content, because like you see like how we found Quen, like I am so tempted to try and build something with this because I know like what can come out of it, and then I am tempted to add it and use it for this specific feature that I wanted to build, apply voiceover to audio. But then what you have to understand about this is, so this is a model, right? This is like a model from Alibaba. Alibaba. It's written it's written in Python. So what this means is you need to build a backend service in Python, and then you have to connect to this service. You have to connect to this backend service, and considering I wanted it to build on this code base, I would have to sort of have a microservice architecture, or even if it's not microservice, it would be sort of like two backends, because I cannot put JavaScript and Python in one code base. So this is not possible. It might be possible, but it will be a mess. It is like two languages in one code base, so you need like a way to separate concerns and logic. So, and yeah, and an alternative would be looking at this and figuring out how you can build a JS, looking at the actual code base and looking to build a JavaScript alternative. And it might not be easy. If you're working with models, you literally are forced to write some Python, ain't you? It's advanced. But if I put this in cursor, what do I use it for? This is very interesting. I'm not going to lie. This is one of those projects you need to try. The crazy part, it says open source, which means you can run it on your own compute. But if you want to run it to the cloud, you're going to have to check in with Alibaba. The beauty of tuning in this stream is getting to navigate the internet with me, which is going to make you smarter. So this was interesting, and then this was a very interesting tool. But at $19 per month, you get TikTok is like how many videos? It's like 20 seconds, right? So you get like 20 videos. And then you can top up for like an extra 10. Anyway, this doesn't make sense for me. Anyway, it does make sense, like in terms of like how much these guys are using, how much compute they're using, and I don't want to go in details into like what this means in the back end, but this is what you need to look at. And because this is what you need to look at, I'm also going to look at it. I'm just going to do some research on this. And just going to do some research. Lucky. I want to see like how, if, but that's like a really good tool. I want to see like how much they're making if they're using like Nano Banana and then other models in on the API, like how much they make on top of this, right? And of course Figma acquired them. Enough of this. Yep.